अगर किसने हिलने की कोशिश की तो भून के रख दूंगा. Roma, तुम बहुत अच्छी लड़की हो. I had the dream to become like Bachchan Saab. I grew up with Bachchan Saab and Dharminder ji. And I used to sell Bachchan Saab's voice as a stand-up comedian. तेरा तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. तू काला है तो acting कैसे करेगा? You can't act in films. So Europe was the place when my first girlfriend is a blonde hair and blue-eyed girl says, "Oh my God, Adil, who are you? You're like Krishna." What does it mean? It means you are very attractive. I'm like, oh God, am I a method actor? No, I'm not anymore. I found an Indian way. I completely submit to my director. But I don't let them tell me how to act. Most of the directors have no clue about acting. My face is pan-Indian face. If I go to Bihar, they think I'm Bihari. When I go to Kerala, they start speaking to me in Malayalam. In Kathakali, they train you first the muscular movement of your face. They train you to do this, they train you to... So all these movements they evoke emotions. Why do I act? Because I would like you, the audience, to have empathy for me, even for Hitler, so that we do not hate the person, we understand the conditions and we can change the root causes of those conditions where the person is brought up like that.
Namaste, Jai Hind. Welcome to another edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Today's edition has an interesting actor, Adil Hussain. You would have seen him acting in some critically acclaimed films, but today's conversation is more about just films. He's acted in films such as The Life of Pi, Lunchbox, English Winglish, Reluctant Fundamentalist, Mukti Bhawan, and several other critically acclaimed films. He's received several national and international awards. Adil Hussain, who was born and raised in the northeastern state of Assam, speaks several languages and has acted in English, Hindi, and regional films. A stylized actor, Adil Hussain wins appreciation for his acting even if the film doesn't make it big at the box office. He's also acted in the international science fiction series Star Trek. Thank you very much for coming to the studio and being part of the podcast. Do I have the liberty to call you by your first name?
Of course, absolutely.
Okay, I was wondering.
I'll not accept anything else.
Okay, should I call you Mr. Adil Hussain, Mr. Hussain, Adil Ji, Adil Saab? What should
Adil.
Adil
yeah,
good.
Please, Adil, just Adil.
Okay, so I'm sure the listeners and viewers of this show would want to know everything about your journey in films, but I really want to begin with your life as a young kid in a small district in Assam. What was it like in Goalpara, and what was childhood like in the 70s?
Early 60s, actually.
Early 60s. Okay.
Yeah, no. Early 60s I was mostly with my mom in the bed, probably being looked after by her and breastfed. I was breastfed till I was 6 years old. I remember drinking milk from my mom's breast.
You were 4-5 kids?
Yes, I was the last one.
Yes.
So
she didn't want to let go, I guess.
No. I think I didn't want to let her go.
Oh.
I remember the day I stopped breastfeed. My dad came and said, because I bit my mom's nipple.
Huh.
And my dad said, "Bas, abhi kafi hai." It's done. I'm not allowing you to bit my wife's nipple.
Okay.
He didn't say that. I thought that's what he thought.
I can imagine.
So so I grew up in a very quaint little, beautiful town on the river Brahmaputra. 50 meters from our home on the left is this beautiful hill, which is called Hulukanda, means monkey's cry. The monkey cries.
Why? Because it's inhabited by a lot of monkeys?
Macaques mostly.
Okay.
And in the front of our house is this big field, so just after the field is our school where we studied. That school is a very old one. It was established in 1887 or something. So really old. And we had an amazing time. Our house was 100-year-old wooden house, which of course now broke down and brothers have made some other house nowadays. concrete structure, ugly ones. Unfortunately, that's how it works. So I grew up with a lot of care from my mom, especially. My dad was not the one, like typical male figures, generally stereotyping. I'm stereotyping, forgive me for that. No, like I have never gotten a hug from him. And that, I'm compensating that to our son, who is 13 years old. So I keep hugging him a lot. So town was very, very, very beautiful town. And we had a lot of cultural activities. Assam is famous for that. Like we had theatre groups and drama groups.
Even in Goalpara?
Yes, no, not only in Goalpara. Every probably neighborhood would have one. So Assam is culturally very vibrant. Every village would have a theatre group or a dance group or a music group. Even our town, which is a district headquarter town, we had 2 or 3 music bands. So we grew up listening to music and dance and theatre. We watched, like our elders would perform every 6 months. There would be a theatre performance.
This is Ahomia or this
Ahomia.
is Ahomia?
Yes.
Okay.
And also, I was a bit lucky probably on the hindsight, if I look back, that I grew up in a district, it was the border district of West Bengal. So we also got that culture. The language, the food, the cinema, the literature from West Bengal. It just came across through magazines and, easily people are traveling back and forth from that, West Bengal. So we had the cinemas and like I grew up reading Lokinath Besbura, which is Assamese, and also Tagore. My father was a big devotee of Tagore. So
and he was an academician too.
he was a teacher. So but he was a ferocious reader. He just read. He finished the entire library of the district library, reading all the books, and he complained that what about other books? When are you bringing it?
So that was the environment at home?
Yes.
Encouragement
to
both
read,
of you, or
study.
not both of you, all of you to read.
To read, study, be educated, and be a decent, honest, absolutely. My father was the epitome of integrity and honesty in terms of corruption. I remember he chasing these 2 people who came with big, fish in their hands. And so my father was chasing them. And after they were being chased, I asked him, why did you do this? He said, why would they come with fish? I don't deserve fish. There must be some intention behind it, because he was a headmaster of a school. So maybe he was assuming, so maybe their children must have not done well in the exam and they want to bribe me. So I grew up in that environment and I try to follow that.
Okay. And you talk about your mother and how close you were to your mother. I also want to know about what it was like, in Goalpara is majority Muslim and
no, I think it's
52% or something now.
Now probably.
But when you were young,
it
was communal harmony was part of.
I never grew up with any kind of disturbance. I remember offering Anjali in Saraswati Puja myself. I sang the Kirtan of Sri Shankardev, the Assamese Vaishnav saint. And people came for Fateh Dwazdham, our school celebrated it. I am the one who played Holi and we lit diya in our house. That's how we grew up.
And I also want to ask you, like, in the 60s and in the 70s, was the problem was just starting about student movement.
Yes.
ASU was happening, Bodoland agitation, and you go to college in Guwahati. Did none of these student movements try to rope you in?
No, I did. I participated in it.
Oh, you did?
Oh, yes, because I was in the 9th standard. In 79, I was in the 9th standard where the movement started, and I participated in it. In the student movement, I used to, carry whatever. So the flag and the dhol and the drums and screamed on the streets. And we couldn't go to school for 2 years. We lost 2.5, almost 2 years. And then that government turned out to be the most corrupt government. The student leaders who became the the ministers and chief ministers, and they turned out to be the most corrupt government in the history of Assamese politics.
Why does that happen? I've met I've gone and covered in Assam. I've met so many student leaders
Right.
who were part of the ASU, and then come their late 30s and
Yes.
early 40s, and then comes the realization, bhai EMI dena hai, ab दुनियादारी निभानी है,
जी,
children
जी,
grow
जी,
up,
जी.
and that spirit of revolution and all just kind of ebbs out. Did it happen to you? Did you feel that ab revolution nahi hai, this is not the way out? Is that what happened?
I was listening to Sadhguru's interview with you,
Okay.
and he told the same story, probably sitting here,
Yeah.
that he went towards he saw injustice everywhere, and he wanted to join the arms revolution. With me, what happened? I think everyone, when they're young, there is an aspect in them who would like to see justice. If they have been given certain values in life, you know what I mean. My name is Adil, and it means actually the one who is just.
Okay.
It means justice, basically. So I grew up in a household where my eldest brother was a communist who changed later. And one of my brothers, he's totally domesticated, like he is home. He doesn't care about anything else. Like his family is the most important thing. So we have different combinations of ideologies in our house. And I grew up with, like, I did IPTA when I was a kid.
Yeah.
And everybody did it those
Theatre.
days. There was no other way to go. But in the process...
I want to interrupt you. If you could tell, because our foreign viewers, international viewers may
Right.
not understand what IPTA meant.
IPTA is the Indian People's Theatre Association, and it was a part of the leftist ideology that they would do theatre to talk about the poverty and unemployment and the rights for everybody in terms of those who are under the poverty line.
And especially in the 70s. And
especially in the 70s
Yeah.
and all that. So I was part of it. The things changed for me. Now I don't know. I'm just responding to a question, not
Sure.
answering that. Like what happens when you grow up. You see things, you understand complexities of life more. You see that everybody has their own point of view. And what Sadhguru was telling you, I crisscrossed the country on my motorbike for 2 years. Exactly the way he said, that I slept under the trees, I slept in railway platforms, I went and visited places like in nowadays that particular area is in Chhattisgarh. Those days it was in Madhya Pradesh, in Bastar. And there was this village we climbed for 2 days, and then we reached the village, and that village people, they have never seen cars or buses or money or matchbox even. Till then, I'm talking about 96, 95, 96. So, in their worldview, how they look at ecology, how they look at life, how they look at justice system, how they practice extreme equality, man-woman, including man-woman. They are way more civilized than us, according to my point of view. They are much more civilized, they are spiritually much more awakened. Their idea of justice is way more modern than us. The idea of man-woman relationship is way more modern than European communities. So I felt, my God, this is amazing. And the relationship that they have with environment and nature is the Greenpeace CEO must come and learn from them. So now, when I see that particular part of the country, or those people are not being given their rights, then I have lot of sadness in me. You understand what I mean? When
Yes.
their rights, the jungle rights for them to just be there, and if the the areas are being not looked after by consecutive governments, then I feel pain. So then you grow up.
Jal and jungle, that's their...
Exactly.
They live off that. Yeah.
Totally. And how they live. You would be surprised, Smita, if you go there. You will feel inferior. I felt inferior. I thought, oh my God, they know so much. And the simplicity, the It disturbed me. That simplicity, when I went there, I understood when I read Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa Dev's biography. Not biography, it's called Katha Amrita in Bengali. I can read Bengali. And the simplicity which disturbed the hell out of me when I read that. But that was just a story for me because,
Why
though it
does
touched
that-
me.
Why does that disturb you?
Disturbed me because how complicated and how how unsimple I am, if I can put it that way, how judgmental I am, how I have deprived myself of beauty of life. That you can only what Sadhguru talks about it. That just looking at one flower can take it would take rest of your life to just understand one molecule. He said, and that's true for me. So, and also my theatre training gave me that access of, I had tools to practice in order to see one tree for 6-7 hours. That's part of my training. So when I went to this tribe and I saw them, I met them, I wept. I was like, oh my God. Where did we go from this particular way of living life? Where have we reached? And how we are consuming everything, including the branch that we are sitting on, the planet Earth. That's sad. That's sad. So that disturbed me, and also the simplicity that I was talking about. Their simplicity is disturbing because of that, oh my God, how is it possible for me? Because they reminded me of Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansa Dev. They reminded me of Ramana Maharshi. They reminded me of when I read Ramana Maharshi, that he went to the cave and then he just asked one question, who am I? And that question led him to, enlightenment. And then when I went to his ashram in Tiruvannamalai, and I saw his photo, the energies are still hanging there, that he was there. I went and I climbed the entire Nilachala hill. It took me 2 hours to just non-stop I climbed. And just to feel how the beauty of that space, which probably still smeared by his energies. I also come from a Sufi saint background. My mother's father was a Sufi saint. Mm-hmm. And his shrine is still there. And 1 million people turn up within 3 days' time in January. So I grew up hearing his stories also, how he helped people, no matter where they are from, what their background is, religious background or intellectual or class background. He was like that. So I grew up with that, and I wanted to find the meaning of my muse, my love, which is acting. Why would I? So the question came, why should I act? What is the need of this particular craft in human society? I love acting, but why do I love? If I ask this question to someone, people would find it difficult to answer. Why do I love what I love? I don't know. And because I didn't know, I needed to just find out. Maybe this is not it. That is not it. That's the principle of what Sri Sadhguru says, that it's not it. Or niti, niti, niti. Shiva means that which is not. The word Shiva means that. That which is not means you don't know. And that's the best place to be in as an actor, as a creative person also. That I don't know, I'm going to discover. And that's how it keeps me going. That I have no idea, why am I here? What am I doing here? And that magic which is in front of me, which sort of which goes, the veil may go from that mystery that I am looking at, and I am searching for, that I don't know what I'm searching for. And slowly when it goes, you're like, oh my God. And that's what happens in the process of acting as well, that I don't know. Suppose you are supposed to play my wife, and I don't know you at all. And you come here. If I already know what I have to say, of course I know what I have to say, but I don't know how would I say it. What would be the tonality? What would be the tenor? What would be my attitude, my volume, my texture of my voice, my temperament, inner temperament? How would I look? How do I look at it? Look at you like this, or look at you like that, or look at you like that, or like that. There could be millions of ways,
Yes.
So I don't know, because you would radiate certain energy, I would radiate certain energy, and it would meet in somewhere, and that would dictate me or propel me or influence me to say the words, which I know already, in a certain way. And that I don't know. So then what am I actually experiencing? Am I experiencing magic? I have never said something like this to anybody. This is the first time. And then it can be called creativity. Because Srishtishilta means that something which is new, never happened before. How can then something you already know, you're doing it, it is not Srishtishilta, it's not creativity, it's just Xerox copy of what you have seen. Anyway, I have diverted, my God.
No, there's no diversion at all. I'm like mesmerized by what you said. Let me come back to some of the points that you picked up. One was this, that you had the skills.
Right.
Now, obviously, because you have the skills of training,
Ji.
like a sponge, you're absorbing and you're able to understand. Like you, when you're sitting in front of a tree,
Ji.
anybody would walk past the tree, but you absorbed
see it.
something
Yes.
because you saw, you visualized, and you saw more meaning in something
Ji.
because of your skill and training.
Correct.
So at what point did you feel that those skills are absolutely necessary to imbibe before imparting?
When I first came to NSD, my teacher, Khalid Tayyabji, first day, first session at 8 o'clock in the morning, and he started working with us without saying a word. And he did not speak a word for 6 months every day when he taught us. So it was like, and we thought that was normal, but it's not normal not to speak and still teach. So he was training our body to make it so sensitive to become. For example, I think this is the best way for me to explain, is that this is my instrument, right? I don't play a piano or a guitar. This is what I play. So a pianist would want to play a piano which is very well tuned by someone. Generally musicians, pianists, they don't tune their own piano. There are people who specializes on that. Guitarists generally tune their guitar themselves because there are only 6 strings. Piano has 1,000 strings. We have billions of strings within us. Like every neurocells, how it works, the emotions are being generated inside that some space. I saw a documentary on neuroscience, on neurology, where the emotions are being created within our brain and how it locks into the hormone, and then you feel in a certain way. So we have billions of strings and we have no clue. We are still, all the scientists, the greatest scientists in the world, they are still figuring it out how this piece of instrument works.
Yeah.
And we don't know yet. Which is, so then my job as an actor, to understand a little bit of it, at least this instrument. So the trouble is that my instrument and the player are rolled into one. I have to also be the player, and I am also the instrument, which is a difficult one. So to understand that, this man, our teacher, who started training us to be sensitive towards each and every muscle and every movement of every muscle. Like if I am looking at you like this, right? I'm looking at you like this now. I have to, if I just put my head down like that, and if I continuously keep talking to you like this,
You're judging me.
I have not thought of judging you at all. I'm just saying the feeling in the eyeballs that I am not here, I'm here.
That you're suspicious of what I'm saying.
suspicious. I'm talking to you like that. And I swear to God, I have not thought about I'm going to judge you.
Yeah.
It's just the muscular feeling of someone who is judging is like this. So it's called out to in process. You do a certain movement, and because of that particular muscular mapping of the body, it remembers that this is what you do when you judge.
Yeah.
That's why in Kathakali, they train you first the muscular movement of your face. They train you to do this. They train you to. So all these movements they evoke emotions because of the muscular movement. So my teacher,
No, wait. The muscular movement is
of the
evoking.
face is then because of the memory, the muscle memory,
Huh.
it evokes the emotion.
Okay. It's not the other way around.
It could be other way around as well.
Okay.
But we don't know how to. So
Abhinaya is confusing anyway.
Exactly. Other way round is this. Other way round is which has come from the Western idea. When I say Western, if we can call Russia West to us, is North to us mostly. Right? Stanislavski.
Okay.
Konstantin Stanislavski, who is the father of modern acting. So he had said, use emotional memory. Something has happened in your life which is sad. If you think of it, you feel sad. That is emotional memory.
But Natya Shastra and Abhinaya is different.
Is the opposite.
Opposite.
So you start learning the facial movement, and then you will be the emotions within you will be rekindled. You will be kindled. Will spark that emotion, and then you can draw. You can go deeper into it.
Because as a young kid, you may not have experienced grief
Yes.
of a, God forbid, a parental death
Correct,
or a
correct.
child's. But as an actor, you would have
Yeah.
to emote that. So how would you?
How would you do that?
How would you? Yeah.
So now, but you have experienced grief. Now, this is a very controversial thing I'm going to say. The thing is, the human body has experienced everything right from the Big Bang.
From birth, you mean?
No, I'm talking about
Big
from
Bang,
the
the real-
existence. Big Bang
okay.
means Big Bang. Now, we are, if you look at it from the scientific point of view, even then, the DNA is carrying all the informations from your ancestors and all that. So we have experienced everything. Every human being, according to my experience and understanding both, is that we have all the characters within us. We also have Krishna, and we also have Kansh. All of it. If we can take this as the spectrum, on the extreme side of the spectrum, in between all of us lie.
Okay.
Kansh and Krishna, or Jesus or Hitler, or whoever you call it.
So there's a bestiality and there is a godlike innocence.
Godliness within
Okay.
us. So it depends upon your karmic, it depends upon your upbringing and environment. If I just stay
Where
here
you stand
within
in the
this
spectrum.
life, so we are all here, and we can access those aspects within us if you know how to do it, and if you have been trained, and if you have the tools, depending upon who taught you. So I had great teachers, thankfully, who had helped me to also not only taught me, also gave me the courage and a know-how so that I can become independent of them. They become redundant for me. That's what a good teacher does,
would be, yeah.
always. And then I find my own way. So being inspired by those teachings taught by my teacher, I was very inspired, and 3 of National School of Drama students who I taught in 2003 and 4, they wanted to do fellowship with me under my guidance. So I went to this amazing space which is in Hampi, a river island.
In Karnataka,
In
yes.
Karnataka, and the local and the descendant of the Jamidar, Mr. Ramadevaraya, he gave us this 22 acres land, and said, like a grand gesture, like a king said, you can stay there as long as you want. So 4 of us, we went there, and then word of mouth spread, and we had around 9 people from across the globe. Those were dancers, singers, and actors came. This is a long story, so I'm just shortening it down. And we started experimenting on ourselves. Like, for example, we would stay in one emotion for a week. Like, we'll stay in the tiniest possible anger, from annoyance to frustration to a bit of anger, and then go to rage, each day, a bit of increase. And we used to do that while being annoyed or angry. We would cook, we would dance, we would do our things, we would be cooking our food, we would do everything. throughout the day, washing our clothes because we didn't have electricity or running water. So we stayed in huts and we spent 1100 rupees per month for 2.5 years, right from 5:30 in the morning, crack of dawn till around 10 o'clock at night. We worked on the instrument to find out.
Goodness. That requires a tremendous amount of discipline.
It did, yeah. I had been lucky, as I said, I had been lucky to have teachers who taught me discipline, and my dad and my teachers, and that I met them at the right time. That also is kripa, I would say. That is grace.
Yeah.
For me, that's grace, yeah.
Right. When you're talking about this, how you could be reactive
Ji.
to the person in front of you. Like
Correct.
when, suppose, let me give absolute examples. You've acted as a husband to Vidya Balan in Ishkia. You've acted as a husband to Sri Devi
Correct.
in English Winglish.
Correct. Also taboo in
Also,
Life of Pi.
Life of Pi.
All the beautiful women.
All the beautiful and superbly
Superb actor,
talented,
yes,
right?
yes.
Superb
And
actress.
Manisha Koirala in an English film which hasn't yet come here,
Okay.
called India's Sweets and Spices. So I have worked with all these amazing women.
I'm
yeah.
going to ask you about the details about those also. But just to, when you were talking about reacting to playing husband to somebody,
ji.
now, of course, you've been given a script or you've been given
Yes.
your lines, you have to act and do this role. But does it change depending on how that actress is reacting to
Totally.
you? It does.
Totally. Oh, and it must. Otherwise, you are just being a robot. Now, I'm just giving you an example. You live with your family. No? So I'm just guessing that you have loved ones surrounded, and you go to the room, you go to the living room after you finish your work, and someone is sitting in the living room. That person gives you a different vibe. When I say vibe, means vibration, literally. And you go inside the room, you have not yet spoken, forget about even dialogues. You open the door, and someone opens the door who you imagine in your own imagination, And depending upon who is sitting there and how that person is sitting there, how the person is feeling, you will feel in a certain way. Sab theek hai? Are you okay? Or would you say, hey, are you okay? It's very different, no? Saying the same line, are you okay? Or, hey, are you okay? So depending upon who is sitting, and your tonality will change because of the relationship that you have with that person. There is a history of both of you, and the person is vibrating at this point. How the person is feeling at this point. What is this person radiating from the being? We are all constantly radiating something like the phone. Imagine this one is a product of this one. I am this, not I, but human beings are the creator of this amazing thing that we keep holding on to every day in our hands. So this came out from this instrument. How sensitive are we? You understand what I'm saying? That's why you feel like meeting somebody. You feel at ease when you meet a particular person.
Yeah.
You don't want to go away from that person. That's why people flock to people, those who give them a certain kind of vibration, certain kind of ease or comfort that you feel, or you go to a certain place, or you have a particular favorite space in your room. That's the place I go and I like sitting there. You have a favorite chair of yours, or you go to a certain city or a country that, I like that lake area. Why? Because it vibrates in a certain way. Because the way the place is, the color, the texture, the lines, the lake, the water body, whatever, it makes you feel in a certain way. Similarly, when I'm working with a certain actor, another actor means it's like a miracle in front of you. It's a human being, Human beings are the most magical, miraculous creation of nature, the highest creation of nature in a way, if you look at it from even scientific point of view. So you are. It's not a. It's not a. It's not a small thing when you meet another person. No matter where you meet that person, in the car, the person who drove me just now, a person who accompanied me, Nidhi, and the and that who opens the door for you. Each of them. Each meeting is significant if you can be aware of about it. So for me, I cannot suddenly become a good actor unless I live that sensitive life in. I practice that sensitivity in everyday life. That's my practice. And I miss quite often, I fail, quite often I fall off the rope, like it's a tightrope walk, but I try to come back and I try to remind myself. So the curiosity within oneself remains alive, like which I lost probably at the age of 5 or 6. And then I think Sadhguru talked about it.
Yeah.
And I'm resonating with him because that's what I had been taught as an actor. That my job as an actor is to retain that curiosity at all times. And the word that we use, we call it neo-innocence. Newly found innocence. You go towards your innocence again. Be gullible. Be ready to be cheated. Ready so lose your defenses so that you can receive the world the way it comes to you. And your inner strength will help you to retain your integrity. And yeah.
So I'll bring you back to the question
Yes.
was, the person in front of you, how she reacts when you're the husband, she's the wife.
Correct.
How she reacts impacts on you, and especially because you're a theatre, you're a theatre artist who came into films.
Right.
The difference is like when you're showing affection, when you're showing love, how the other person reacts also is your next emotion, how you...
Correct.
But
Absolutely.
in films, the other person may not even be there in
Correct.
front of you.
Yes,
When you
yes.
have to say those lines of romance, of love,
That's very interesting.
how do you...
You brought that out because I didn't want to act in films after I graduated from NSD. I fell in love with theatre. So the director of Ishkia, Abhishek Chaube, someone told him about me, and he called me. I said, I can't come to Bombay because I'm teaching at the National School of Drama. So he flew down to Bombay, from Bombay to Delhi to convince me to act in his film. So I decided to act, and I gave him 3 conditions. Responding to your question, first one is that I need rehearsals much before you start shooting. He said, okay. I want my co-actor, whoever that is. I knew it was Vidya. I said, I want my co-actor, even if it is being shot at 2 o'clock in the morning, behind the camera, fully performing for me. And he said, okay. And the third is that I don't like dubbing, and I hope your film is sync sound. He said, it is sync sound. So these 3 things, and I insist always. Otherwise, I won't do it. So for some reason, that respect I got from Hindi film industry.
Okay.
Because I never wanted to go there. They took me there. They paid me well. They respect me well. And all the time. So whenever I go, my director, that was my condition with all director, that my co-actor must be there. Now I got...
And Vidya Balan was there.
Was there. Absolutely. And she is an amazing, amazing co-actor. If anybody would tell you that. It's not only me, I think. So...
So she... acting with her, you both brought out the best in each other. Would it be right in saying that?
Absolutely. So, for example, I remember still doing the last scene where she's being tied up and I am on my knees, putting my hand on her knees as well. And I'm just looking at her before the shot started. And I was looking at her, and she started weeping. And she asked me, what have you done to me? I'm like, what did I do? And why am I weeping? She asked me. I said, because I'm just looking at you. I'm not trying to look at you in a certain way. I'm just looking, I'm recognizing you as a human being. And that is very powerful. Because when someone does that, just looking at, there is nothing, no agenda, there is no judgment, just purely looking at somebody, recognizing you as whatever you are, doesn't matter where you come from, gender or class or anything, then you are reminded of yourself, who you actually are, who you have missed for a long time.
She wasn't expected to cry at
Not
that.
at all.
Okay.
No, she was expected to cry, but she blamed it to me, blamed it on me.
Okay.
In a way, in a nice way.
Okay.
In a nice way, when I'm saying, He said, what have you done? I said, I haven't done anything. I'm just looking at you. And then I explained. The next day, actually, I explained to her. And she used to go to Ammaji, who hugs. She used to go there. I said, I haven't ever met her. I'd love to meet her once also. So I made sure that my co-actor is there behind the camera, because you can only respond, and it becomes why it is important. That question may come.
Yeah.
Why it is important. Like,
Yeah.
I am talking to you right now. And if it was somebody else sitting there, it would be totally a different conversation,
Yeah.
So, why it is important? Because I am interested in the truth of the moment. The truth of the moment cannot be decided by some preconceived ideas. The truth can only be discovered from your perspective and from my perspective if we are recognizing each other 100% here and now. Then only it can be truth of now.
Correct.
And the truth of a second before is not truth of now. Like, you cannot touch the same river again, as they say. Similarly, in acting, the truth of now is what I am after, is I'm a sucker for. Abhi kya hoga? Is waqt, now. And that is magical, because I don't know what would be it, which I spoke of before as well.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, if you say, suppose your line is, you just asked me a question, and you are saying, even forget about the word. The way you are looking at me makes me feel in a certain way. And I'm responding to that feeling. I'm not saying, I'm responding to that feeling. As an actor, I could also talk like this now. You'll no matter what you think of me.
I know. It will just put me off. In
Totally,
the second.
totally off. Like, I'm the actor, and then, so let me tell you, Smita, what acting is all about. So, that is, so what I'm trying to say
Yes,
is that
I
the
get
way
it. Yeah.
you are approaching me, or I'm approaching you, the way I'm responding to you is also making you feel in a certain way.
Correct.
And that is what is beautiful.
But what if the other the actor
Doesn't do it.
Yeah. If the other actor is one of those that मेरे को director ने फलां चीज बोली है, मैं वही करूँगा, मैं वही करूँगी. How do you react to that?
You react. I know. So
Because
there
you've acted in those kind of films
I have.
also,
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
where it's so obvious that that the other person is not in the groove, but
you just become more generous. You become more forgiving.
okay.
You try to practice more compassion and empathy. That, okay, the other actor is like that. And you do it. Whatever the person is giving you. So that becomes the truth. You see, you may be irritated also. So my teacher says, when you are irritated with the situation, especially of this kind, then you accept your irritation. Don't try to hide. You're like, okay, God, this man.
Yeah.
And then you have to smile. Hi. So at least you are truthful. Truth is what matters to me, or the way I had been taught.
Oh gosh, as interviewing as a journalist, I'm telling you, I have had this experience so many times. The other person in front of me is lying through his teeth or through her teeth. I just know it. And pretends that, and I'm supposed to believe this.
Believe
so
that.
I have a
Yeah.
very sweet smile and I
Face,
ask that.
exactly.
And I say, okay, I'm taking your BS, but I know exactly.
What's going on. Yeah, I know.
And that thing about camera is that it is so cruel
Yeah.
that
And
it
catches, of course. You cannot fake humility. You cannot. It says that. That's why recently I just started teaching in NSD after a long time. The students were so keen, and I'm I'm the happiest when I teach. So
I am going to not let you go past that. You come from a family
of teachers.
Yeah,
Yeah, I do. Yeah.
So it just came naturally.
It's just I didn't know. I started teaching first actually in Amsterdam Drama School in 1997. And I was pretty skeptical. I was like, oh my God, I'm not taught. I don't know the students. They will eat me up, and that too in a foreign land, And I go there and they do not give a damn to the teachers. Yeah.
Unlike in India.
Unlike in India.
That Guru
India,
Shishya parampara is not there.
गुरु शिष्य तो बहुत दूर की बात है. हमारे जो मॉडर्न स्कूल के जो बच्चे, जैसे एनएसजी में टीचर जाता है, हाँ सर,
Sir.
यू नो, sorry for the camera thing.
No, that's okay.
You know, हाँ सर. तो वहाँ there, suppose this is the table and their legs are like this, and somebody is kissing each other, and you know, the girlfriend boyfriend, and I enter there as a teacher and they just give me one look and continue continued with their things. So what do I do? So I did something, and within an hour they were absolutely attentive towards me. I did something drastic. I took off my clothes, not bare minimum I had, and they were like, "What's going on?" So I did it in a very theatrical style. I took off my clothes as if I'm a cabaret dancer, and then I put it on again. And seeing me, they gave me their attention, and I asked them without saying a word. I followed my teacher, the person who taught me without words. So they all stood up and they took their belongings. We went out of the class. We made a queue like the rail, you know, like the children. The train that we used to play, Rail Gadi, chick, 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 like that. We made a queue. We came in again, and they were with me since then. So I started.
What is that? Shed all your misconceptions,
No,
inhibitions?
it's just that I need to make them interested about me.
Ah, okay.
Nothing else. Like, oh, this guy is funny. This guy is interesting. He might have something for us.
So taking off clothes was not a metaphor for anything?
No, not a metaphor. I just wanted their attention. That's it. Okay. And in a very theatrical way.
The reason I'm asking Adil is because I just saw a show on Netflix in which the principal actor, she has a lot of back trauma and she's holding a lot, and then she meets with somebody whose way of dealing with you, the therapy session is go naked.
Right.
Take off all your clothes.
Yes.
And shut your eyes and tell me what's bothering you.
Yes.
So she's like, why do I need to take off my clothes?
Yes.
What kind of therapy is this? Probably in today's day and age, you get sued if you were to do that.
Yes.
But the idea is that when you shed everything, you're able to bear your thoughts and come to terms with those thoughts.
Right.
Sometimes that's the most disturbing thing in yourself.
Yes.
And I can tell that you're very centered, and coming to terms with your thoughts is extremely important.
I had no choice. Yes.
Why do you say that?
No, because I just wanted to figure out. If I am not centered, I cannot. Okay, this is an example I can give you. This is a plate of whatever, biscottis, thinly sliced biscottis, and imagine all the emotions are like this. 9 emotions, agar hum Nat Shastra ke perspective se dekhe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and suppose this is the 1. So this is Shantam. Anger, Adbhuta, sadness, blah, 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 everything is there. And if I am here, suppose this is anger, I am always here. And if I have to travel to Adbhuta here, I have to either go this way or go this way. It's far away from me. But if I am in the center, then everything is in equal distance. Do you understand?
Yes, I get that.
So, my emotional body is this. I am here. I can access my emotions anytime if I am at the center of myself. Now, what does it mean actually? Like physically? Means that you're quiet. Your thoughts do not bother you so much. You understand thoughts are just thoughts, not reality. You can observe your thoughts and let it go. Don't indulge into it. Don't even try to block it. And your emotions, you have also experienced that your emotions are not the ultimate reality. Emotions are, according to Yoga Sutra, Patanjali's Yoga Sutra, it's a beautiful, beautiful metaphor that your emotions are only that much in terms of the if you look at it from the ratio, who you are and how much, what is the amount of what is the degree of emotion? How do I put it? In comparison to who you actually are, and the reality of emotions in yourself. Okay? So this is me. And your emotions are only the waves of the sea which lash on the shore. But if you just go higher up a little bit and you see the entire sea, and you realize that the roaring waves are only this size, right? If you just go higher up a little bit. That's the reality of emotions. But rest of the sea and the depth and the vistar and the vastness and immensity of the sea is who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yes, got
So
it.
that's the metaphor. Now, that's a story that I had been told by Patanjali's Yoga Sutra. But I have to also experience it in order to believe in it. As Sadhguru says, that everything I don't believe in authorities, I believe truth is the only authority. That's so true for also actors, for me as well, especially. That I experience that quietude, that kind of absolutely unshakable sthirta, or, I don't know how else to put it in English, unshakable stability, if I can put it that way. Several times in my life, in such a degree that is my reality. I cannot be shaken easily by the surroundings, by the onslaught of whatever happens around me, and especially before I act. So that I'm not saying that I have reached the stages of those amazing yogis, not at all. But for the purpose of my life and for my craft, this much for me, as of now, is pretty okay.
Okay.
I'm decently there. That I can summon up myself. I can summon summon that state of being within me if I just give myself 1 hour. And I'm there. I'm stable. I'm not so easily shakeable. And I can travel to each and every emotions, including the most dark ones, brutal ones, ugly ones, and which will be judged severely by the society. And unashamedly. That's what Ramakrishna Paramahansa talks about. That lajja, ghrina, and bhai, ये 3 चीजें नहीं रहनी चाहिए. You should not have fear, shame, and hatred. 3 at a time, at the same time, by the way. Not one. One is there, the rest of it. So, and when I read that, something sort of like, wow, what is this concept? I had no clue. I haven't experienced it. You see, it sort of stirred my curiosity to understand that. And thank God I read it. I read it in 96, that book. And given by one of my teachers, who actually is a follower of Sri Aurobindo.
See, not shame, but self-loathing is
Yes.
something, is a sentiment that runs continuously in that film, English Winglish.
Right.
In which Sridevi
goes through that. Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Now, you're playing the role of her husband.
Yes.
You have experienced some of that angst which Sridevi has in real life, in the sense that you are multilingual. Right? You think also in Bengali, in Assamese, and in English, and then you have acted. So you understand that multilinguality, and you understand that your accent matters so much and things.
Yes.
So what was it like when you were there in that film, when you acted in that film? Did you feel that emotion which she's feeling, because you are
Totally, absolutely. It was like I was home.
in English
In English, because I grew up also, the role I played, he's a male misogynist, but he doesn't know. When I was approached by Gauri Shinde, such a lovely, lovely, wonderful, have you ever met her?
No, I haven't.
She's an amazing
From
woman.
Pune, yes.
Yes, amazing woman. So, and I love her like anything. Probably out of few directors that she is still a friend of mine, So when she approached...
Really? That's quite telling. I'm not going to let you get away with that.
No. Don't probe into it too much.
Okay.
No, you can. I told you in the beginning that you are free to ask me any question.
Okay.
So, so when I was approached with this particular script, I asked Gauri that, Gauri, look, my father was one of them. My brothers are still like them. Most of my friends are like them. Like
Misogynist.
this. Yes, they are. 99 probably percent of Indian males, or maybe any male on the planet, are like that. And they're not villains. They're just ignorant, innocent people who haven't been taught well. So you cannot blame all of them. It has to be that I cannot play this role as like a villain. I cannot paint my father a villain. I cannot, or my friends. I know what you are talking about because I had been one of them.
The
myself.
conditioning, yeah.
The conditioning. I grew up in a male misogynist house. My father's words were the last words. Why? But when my father died, this is the interesting story. And in between that, so 1983, I left home. I came to Guwahati, and then I came to Delhi and London and Netherlands and all that, and met amazing people like I had been talking about. My teachers, my girlfriend, one of my girlfriends especially, she had pushed all my male chauvinist buttons and showed me my deep conditioning of being, like I am superior to women from 97 till 2001. And it was excruciatingly painful what I had gone through to uproot it. And it is a difficult job. So that's why I have such empathy for people, those who are like that, oh my God, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of doing, conscious, meticulous, systematic work on oneself in order to get out of that deep conditioning. Because it's in your cell. It's had been passed on through your DNA. It's an operation of it's a surgery of like the highest kind, to get out of that attitude of male chauvinism. It's unbelievable. Like I was listening to this man called Jordan Peterson. He was talking, he's in controversy because he's against the new Yorkism and all that. And anyway, so I'm not going there. So what I'm trying to say is that when you asked me the question about Sridevi, that film. So I had gone through that. So I said, I cannot play it like a villain. I will play as if he's, not as if, which is the truth, innocent and ignorant at the same time. Doesn't know that he's committing this crime, I would say.
Yeah.
And people have, and the reason also, the artistic reason of that is that why do I act? Because I would like you, the audience, whoever is watching, to have empathy for me. Even for Hitler. You see? So that we do not hate the person, we understand the conditions and we can change the root causes of those conditions where the person is brought up like that. Because the person is a product of that.
Yeah.
So if you hate the person, you can lock him up, of course, but don't hate. Like Krishna tells Arjuna, you kill, but without the hatred. With unconditional love, even you have to kill Bhishma, Pitamaha. So that is an Indian understanding, spiritual understanding, philosophical understanding of how you should conduct your life.
That was
Not
how
hate.
you were going to enact that role
Correct.
as a husband.
Yes.
But I'm sure when you went in and Gauri told you that it will be Sridevi playing the role, you are a product of the 80s and 90s also. You've seen Sridevi and all of us have seen
I
her.
grew up.
Grew up looking.
Same age.
Like
She started acting when she was 13 years old. I was 13 then.
Yeah. But I don't mean to denigrate it, but a lot of the films that she did were those exaggerated
Correct.
emotional depictions,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
It required her to over dance, over emote.
Yes.
And with those big eyes, it was easy for her probably, I think.
And she was amazing.
She was amazing.
She's very good in that genre as well. I'll call it the
correct.
genre. Yeah.
So, but when she comes in this film, suddenly she is doing this restraint acting.
Yes.
So a lot of it was that, is it because of the director? Is it because she's acting opposite you?
Right.
And what is it? How did it work?
Interesting. So that was my third film. And that was her 300th probably. So but I have never felt like before when I was like, that was Sridevi, interesting. I never thought that I will ever act with Sridevi because that wasn't in my radar. So when I was told, I was like, I saw one film which impacted me of Sridevi when I was young.
Sadma.
Correct. That's
I
the
thought it-
only film I
Very
saw.
disturbing, no?
Very disturbing film. And I couldn't eat for like 1.5 days. I still remember.
Yeah.
I was so shocked. And I was like, oh my God. I couldn't really eat. I still remember. So when I met her like this, and she was sitting there, and Gauri and Balki introduced me, hey, this is Adil, who's going to play your husband. And she looked at me with her big, beautiful eyes. And I said, hey, how are you doing? And the first thing I said, I saw Sadma, and I couldn't eat for 2 days. And she had tears in her eyes. So probably, I don't know why. I have no idea. And she had little, soft, moist eyes. And then we got busy with the rehearsals. And so it is definitely not me who inspired her to act the way she acted in English. It is because she is actually so sensitive. She is, I would put her at par with Meryl Streep.
Really?
Had she been given the scripts, had she been given the directors, and had she been facilitated with those amazing writing and situations and credible stories that the West had, she had probably won many Oscars as of now. She is amazingly sensitive, unbelievable listener. And that's one of the greatest qualities of an actor, that you listen well. And then only you can respond.
Yeah.
And listening is not through only your ears, as I said.
No, every pore of your body.
You receive the person with absolute, if I can use the word, gratitude, with absolute respect, recognition that I see you. That I love that small dialogue from Avatar, that film. I see you. That means a lot to me, because I see you means I recognize you. Just another human being with that magical ability or magical quality or a piece of miracle in front of me.
Interesting that you mentioned Sadma and sitting in front of
Yes.
you. There was that one scene, when Sridevi in English orders coffee. You know that? And for no reason, I was watching, not for no reason, for a justifiable reason probably, when I was watching that scene, I started crying because it reminded me of the time that I ordered coffee. And here I had traveled abroad. It's not that I hadn't traveled abroad, but it was such an overwhelming experience. And there was this journalist, Mr. N. Ravi of The Hindu. He taught me how to order coffee. And I'm in my 40s by now.
Can you believe it?
And I've traveled abroad, but I didn't have the confidence.
Yes.
And when she did that, when she runs out of that, I totally
I know.
got it.
I know.
And
it's amazing that you were saying that. Yeah.
did you have those experiences when you got out, say when you got out of Goalpara, you came to Guwahati. When you come out of Guwahati, you go to NSD. When you come out of NSD, when you're in Delhi, when you're going to Bombay
And
film
London.
industry.
No,
London.
I went to study in London. Yeah.
Did you
oh my
feel
God.
all those things?
Constantly. I was just telling someone, I think it took me almost 40 years of my life to feel a little bit of confidence, I started calling it gentle audacity.
Ah,
You see what I
I
mean?
love the term.
Yeah, because for me it's an audacious act just to stand up in front of Barry John and play Othello. He played Iago. When Roy Sternable asked me that, Adil, I'm casting you as Othello, I said, no way, I can't do it. Because he said, why? I said, it's in English. I've never done Shakespeare in English. I don't even understand this guy. He said, no, we'll help each other. So
You don't understand Othello, you don't understand Shakespeare.
I don't understand Shakespeare
Why?
because I haven't studied Shakespeare.
You did theatre, you did.
I did theatre in Hindi.
Okay.
I played Othello in Hindi, like
Yeah.
one scene, but in Hindi. In NSD, we call scene work. Like we did one scene. I did one scene. But
Yeah, Othello's
that is in
anyway
Hindi.
overwhelming to act.
And it's in English, and Iago is going to be played by Barry John, who had been my teacher in NSD, and I used to stay away, like 1 mile away from him because of his persona. And I come from, as I said, from a tiny little town, and Delhi city is like that. Barry John, oh my God. Nasiruddin Shah was like, oh my God, kind of a situation. You understand what I'm
Yeah.
talking? And then this guy with the timidity that I had to come in front of. Then Roy said, that is the role, Adil. You are from Goalpara, from a small little lower middle class family. You have come to Delhi. You are a National School of Drama graduate. You also have learned Kathakali. And you are trying to prove to the world that you are a good actor. That's the role. It's not Othello.
That's you.
That's me. So that's what the role is.
So it's a play in a play.
It's a play within a play. But we are rehearsing Othello. So it's a cleverly written, intelligently written play. So my job was, and Othello is such is Othello. He comes from a black background who is trying to prove himself. He's a general and then falls in love with this white woman, envied by everybody. And he's trying to hold his ground and then being poisoned by Iago that, hey, she has slept with somebody. And what happens? So that's the role. And I was like, wow, Roy. But what about this English bit? I have to say, had it pleased heaven to try me with affliction and had the rained all kinds of sores and shames on my bare head and give it. How would I say all this? I said, that's your job. I'm giving you a dictionary and the play. So I locked myself for almost 2.5 months in, incidentally, which is such a amazing place, which is the basement of Ibrahim Alkaji's house, founder of National School of Drama. That basement was given to me by his granddaughter, Zulekha, that Adil, ghus jao idhar. And I used to work from 10 in the morning till 5 every day, 6 in the evening till 9 used to be the official rehearsal time.
So did you do the whole Shakespearean thing?
Yeah, no, that was my thing.
That was not going to be your style.
No, that cannot be, because I had been taught differently.
So you didn't speak.
So I did not. That's what my worry was, that I will end up saying, "Had it please heaven to try me with affliction" and all that. No, I didn't. So I did it the way I felt the best, the way I was taught, and that became we won the best play amongst 3,000 plays at the Edinburgh Theatre Festival, and I got the best probably review ever any actor has gotten from India playing Shakespeare by a Scotsman. So
tell me about, while doing Othello, you met the lady who became your wife. Then.
Yes.
Tell us about that story. Let's bring a little romance into this conversation.
All right, yeah. So initially that role was played by Lucian Dubé. And then she did not, for personal reasons, she did not continue with our group after a year. Then Royston Abel, the director, who is a very, very close, dear friend of mine, who brought in this girl called Kristen Jain. And I was given the task to teach her. So, because I did the play already. So in the process of that, then we did the play for 10 years, till 2008. So in 2006, 2003 itself, we fell in love with each other. And then in 2005 or 6, I said, I would like to spend the rest of my life with you. And
No, tell us about that one scene. Wait.
Right.
Yeah, you think I'm going to let you get away with
God.
it? Tell us
You
about
remember that?
Yes, I've done my research.
So after 25 shows, after she started working, not during the Lucian time, after she started working with me, we were supposed to play at the British Council, I remember. And so I did one show and we were supposed to do 5 or 6 shows. So I did one show and I come back, and while I was strangling her in the play, so I'm telling this to Roy, that yesterday when I was strangling her, I just don't feel like killing her, Roy. And Roy is a person who believes in the truth of now. He doesn't believe in the conventional way of doing theatre. He breaks the rules, always. When I say breaks the rules, not because he wants to break the rule and become an anarchist, just because he's saying, okay, let's find out what is the truth for now.
Yeah, disruption causes creativity, right?
Exactly. So he wants to just find out. He said, Adil, are you sure? I said, I just, looking at her face, because probably I love her, doesn't matter, but I don't feel like killing her. He said, what do you want to do? I said, I don't know. shall we rehearse? He said, no, do it on the show, whatever you have to do. I was like, wow, Roy. He said, yeah, you brought it up, darling, you have to do it. And that evening, the next day, it was the most, I don't know, magical, the only word comes, magical performance or feeling, forget about the performance, the feeling that I felt. That I look at her and I'm looking at her and saying that the lines, it is the cause, my soul, let it. And then I go to strangle her, my hands are shaking, my shivering, and then looking at her, I'm angry, but I'm also sad and I'm crying and I'm angry. Why did you sleep with her? And then I fall into, and then finally I hug her. Almost about to kill, but I said, I don't want to kill because I'm not Othello. I'm Adil, who's playing the role of Othello. It's the truth within the truth, you see? So I hug her, and then he switches off the lights before I manage to hug. So the audience do not know. They do not know whether I killed her or I accepted her. So that remained the rest of the performances. We did it like that.
Did it come as a shock to her that
She didn't know, but we did that part in Kathakali style. So she's sleeping like this. And I'm performing in Kathakali style, but that I also broke the Kathakali rules as I felt, whenever I felt it just happened organically. I did not do it. Oh, how much break karna hai, I'll break it there. No, it happened that way. And my Kathakali guru, Sadanam Balakrishnan ji, who came to see, and he said, Adil, what you did with Kathakali is amazing. I'm like, okay, I have your blessing. Now I can go ahead with that. So, yeah. So, and then we fell in love, of course. I told her that, and she responded a year after, said, yes, I think I'm ready to marry you. And it happened.
so you somebody who's a method actor, you break rules and you have your own style of emoting.
Right.
How did that work in the Bombay film industry where when you say you work with certain directors and you lay down rules that
Yes.
this is how you will act, and you've acted with some great actors.
I did, yes.
You've acted with, like we talked about, and
Yes.
you've also acted with Akshay Kumar, you've acted with Nasiruddin Shah, you've
I
acted
did,
with
yes.
so many already established names.
Ji.
Did you then submit to the director and submit to the plot, to the style of the film, or do you bring something of your own?
Too many questions.
And are you
In that, I'm
didactic with that?
yeah.
Yeah.
I know you're.
One more to add to
more to add. First one is that, am I a method actor? No, I'm not anymore.
Okay.
I found a way, and I call it, and I've said it in a few interviews, that I found an Indian way. Method acting is a particular way of creating a role, which comes from American film industry. But American film industry, the person, his name is Lee Strasberg, who had taken it from Stanislavski. Then he changed few things and made it relevant for that time for the requirement of acting in Hollywood film industry.
Okay.
That is method acting. And Stanislavskian system is another way to act. I had been sort of trained in a Grotowskian way, which is another acting style, a Polish man, Jerzy Grotowski. But Jerzy Grotowski took it from India, most of his work. Like from Kathakali, from Kudiyattam, and from Sri Aurobindo. So I had been introduced to Aurobindo by a Polish man, which is the tragedy of our country.
But you've been to Puducherry also and trained there too.
I know, but much before that.
Before that. Okay.
Before that.
Okay.
I went to Pondicherry because of this man. You see, that's the tragedy of our country, that we had been introduced to our own culture by some people, those who had come from outside and saw the beauty and the significance of the teachings here. So, anyway, so I found my own way. It's a long response. So I'm not going to talk about how I found it. And so
I'm going to just, sorry to interrupt, I'm going to read out a quote which I had brought out, and which in one interview you had said, I'm trained in the Method School of Acting, where you use your emotional memory to create your own backstory.
Correct.
It's an extremely efficient method, and I've been following that, but it was a burden to me.
Correct.
To be good, to be efficient. It
Yes.
used to haunt me. It used to give me nightmares.
Nightmares. Absolutely right. Because it used to give me nightmares. When I played Othello, I was a method actor, and imagine the rage, the anger, the jealousy. To method actors are generally, they draw from their emotional memory, which is absolutely, I do as well, but not specific emotional memory, and they would like to hang on to that in order to make it credible and intense enough during the performance. You see? So they'll, in their everyday life also, they would stay there. And it becomes hell for the people who are around you. For myself, I want to enjoy my life. I don't want to be in that. If I am playing a role for 7 months, suppose I'm acting as Vartika Chaturvedi, what Shefali Shah played in Delhi Crime. Imagine if I have to like that, and I come home and I'm looking at my wife Kristen. How are you doing? Are you okay? Okay. I don't want to be like that. I'm like, hey, how are you? I want to get out of it. What is that art of getting out of it? Is there any art? Has someone talked about it? I found it in in Kudiyattam, in Kathakali, in Natya Shastra. So then I started working on that. I'm like, oh, okay, this is other way. You can just go into it and you come back to your natural, even rather lighter self than before, which you have to establish it within yourself by practicing it so that you can come back to it within 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 1 hour, depending upon how well you have practiced it. So those are the tools I got from my acting teachers and also from my spiritual mentor. I have one. So I'd been working with him for the last 23 years with my spiritual mentor. So he introduced me to several tools which brings me back to my expansive self, if I can put it that way. So so now coming to the next part of your question. So when I meet all these different kinds of actors, do I submit to the director? I completely submit to my director. But I don't let them tell me how to act, because that's not their expertise. Their expertise lie on the macro aspect of it. They can only tell me what they want. They can't tell me how I should do it, because that's not their job. They don't know. Most of the directors have no clue about acting. I would say 99.9% of the directors should not have clues about acting. If they have, it's good, but most of them have no clue. They can only say, oh, it's not working. And that's a good place to be in.
Okay.
Yeah, why should you know about acting? That's my job. You hired me, you paid me. I should bring what I have to bring. No, you tell me what you want. You want 10% anger, 20% anger. You want gentleness. You want ferocity with kindness. What do you want? That's my job. So don't tell me how to do it. Tell me what you want. So it doesn't matter who I work with. I always submit to the director, even if I feel contrary to his direction, but it's his or her film. So I said, do you want, okay, you were irritated, but you're still laughing. So you are enjoying the fact that your wife makes laddu and he's the best. So you laugh. When I see that scene, I cringe myself. I'm like, oh my God, it's so bad.
Do you do that? Do you look back and...
Oh God. It's like male chauvinism in its epitome, you know? Like he doesn't know what he's laughing. He's like, it's a cruel thing to do.
Yeah.
It's so cruel. And I look at it, oh my God. But then,
It
that's
required,
the job.
yeah.
That's the job. That's what I'm supposed to do. And interestingly, most of the women who meet me at the airport or mall, they say, oh my God, you did it so well. Like my husband. I'm like, what is your husband? Around? So they identified with it and they didn't hate me because they love their husband. You see, that's what I say, creating empathy. They understand the empathy. Then they understand the other person. And that's the job of an artist, is to bring people together with empathy and compassion and not divide them.
You know, you've acted as a RAW officer
Raw
in
officer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
in so many films. There was Bell Bottom. I was just
Force 2 or something
yeah.
like that.
There
Yeah,
was
yeah.
in one in which you did Amod Khan's role, the
Yes.
Charles Sobraj
Yes.
thing.
Yeah.
You've done you've done Santook Saab. You've acted.
Yes. That's
You-
in Bell Bottom.
and then you did Aran Cow in
Aran Cow in this Mukhbir.
Mukhbir.
The series. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
that was so fabulous,
I loved
Mukhbir.
it, yeah, yeah.
So what is it?
I think my hair is grey and
or do you look stern?
I can look stern like my dad.
Huh.
And I think that Othello set me off on this path because most people, those who have cast me, especially the casting directors, they have seen Othello. And who is like intense. But they forget that I am a trained clown. I had been the clown of the family. I have clowned in Europe. I am a joker, So the one or two directors, they have explored that. Like Dr. Chandra Prakash Dwivedi Saab. He directed
Z.
a film, Z Plus.
Yeah.
So I play that funny guy,
Yeah.
who's a cycle mechanic. And in Good News.
No, he's funny
But
till power comes.
yes, and then he becomes.
And then it was like when I was watching that film.
Oh, you saw that film?
Yeah, I saw the
okay.
film, and my husband and I, we were eating, we were
Okay.
having our dinner while watching it and all that.
Yeah.
Suddenly, but as you graduate towards becoming that slightly darkish phase when
Yeah,
the
yeah.
power comes in, and you
Yeah.
get that innocence of
It's been
reaction.
robbed off.
It's been robbed off.
Yeah.
We stopped the ice cream eating there. Do you understand?
yes,
I was
yes.
like, oh, this is a little difficult.
Difficult one. Yeah.
Then everything stops.
Yeah.
When we're not able to
Yeah,
then say
yeah.
that, oh my God, is he going to return to that childlike innocence,
Or
or
not.
has he corrupted himself completely?
Correct.
You know,
correct,
so
yes.
even though you might have trained as a clown, let me tell you that
No,
that
but
aspect.
Good News. Haven't you seen Good News?
Have seen Good News,
So
yes.
That's funny for me.
Yes,
But it's
yes.
nothing. It's like 1% of how funny I am, or how
Yeah.
what a clown I am.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
I hope.
Yeah. So that's there too. You're from a culture which you talked about, Assamese culture, Ahomia culture, where there's theatre, acting, art culture is so
Vibrant,
important.
yes.
It's part of Assamese culture.
Ji.
And then you lived right next to Bengal, where of course art and culture thrived for
Yes.
centuries out there, and still does. The film industry is very.
Yes.
But why is it that that actors from Assam really haven't made it big in the Mumbai film industry?
Yeah.
And when you came in,
Yeah.
did you come with that trepidation that मेरा नहीं हो पाएगा यहाँ पे?
No, I did not. I said to you already that I didn't want to be in Mumbai film industry. I had the dream to become like Bachchan Saab. I grew up with Bachchan Saab and Dharminder ji, and अगर किसी ने हिलने की कोशिश की तो भून के रख दूंगा. I used to sell Bachchan Saab's voice as a stand-up comedian.
Really?
Yeah, I told him.
Do that? How would you do it?
अगर किसी ने हिलने की कोशिश की तो भून के रख दूंगा. रोमा तुम बहुत अच्छी लड़की हो. Something like that. So I used to sell his voice, and so I had the dream to become this actor and dance around the trees. Who doesn't?
And you're like this tall, dark, handsome guy.
So वो तो I didn't know that. I always thought I'm not good looking. I only came to know about that I am good looking enough in Europe.
Why? What was your napdand of good looking?
No, all these Bollywood, fair guys.
So you were told you're dark?
I'm not only told I was dark. तेरा तो कुछ नहीं होने वाला है. तू काला है तो acting कैसे करेगा? You can't act in films. It's not
Who's
possible.
told you this? In
Most
Delhi,
of mine.
Bombay?
No. Assam में.
Assam.
It's a normal practice. Even women, those who are dark, men, those who are dark, you are looked down at. Like, एक काला लंबा करके एक बंदा आया था. Someone who is dark and tall who has come. But tall, dark and handsome, that idea came only when I came to Delhi. One of my girlfriends said, oh my God, you are TDH. I'm like, what does it mean? Oh, tall, you don't know? I said, I have no clue. I'm from Goalpara.
So obviously your girlfriend was a Mills and Boone thing, because
Yes,
tall, dark
yes.
and handsome was put
Absolutely
into
from
Indian
idea of
psyche
beauty,
to
yeah.
good looking only through those or Georgette Heyer. And,
Correct.
otherwise,
Who
it was It was
in spite of the fact that Krishna is dark.
Yeah.
The word Krishna means dark.
dark.
Strangely, how we had gone from there.
But
to
Adil,
this
look at
fair
the
thing.
Amar Chitra Katha, no? They were blue-skinned in that.
Huh,
They were not
dark.
dark,
Still
dark.
imagine.
Huh.
So Europe, I don't know which question I'm answering, but doesn't matter.
We'll get to the Assam part.
So Europe was the place when my first girlfriend is a blonde hair and blue-eyed girl says, "Oh my God, Adil, who are you? You're like Krishna." That's what she said.
Huh.
I'm like, "Oh, okay." I had long hair.
Huh.
I had like really long hair, little shorter than you.
Huh.
I'm like, what does it mean? It means you are very attractive. I'm like, oh God. So that's slowly the self-confidence of like, okay, I am good enough. And I have photographs of those days. Someone took me, one of her friends took some photographs. And those are amazing professional photographs.
Huh.
Amazing photographs. And I look at myself, this is like a Bollywood hero. So I wanted to be one. But then that dream left me after I was introduced to theatre. Because theatre is something that, from the perspective of actors, I think is the only place that an actor can create a world, a real world, as real world, I would say, that you have the time and you have the ability, you have the facility in order to create. Because you start from the day one by meeting the actors, you talk about the play, you read each and every sentence and every word of each sentence, and then you start understanding. You start understanding the words and the writer's background. If you're doing Chekhov or Kalidasa or Bhabubhuti, you start slowly understanding, and then you find the truth of the first chapter, then stemming the truth of the next chapter is actually stemming from the first chapter, and you finish the play and you start creating this world, and you rehearse for 2.5 months, 3 months. So you actually create this palpable, vivid world for yourself. And that makes you a richer person. In films, what happens? You come, you meet the actor, kya hai scene? Yeah, okay, this is the scene, this is my line. You say it, capture it, kya baat hai? Especially in India, the mediocrity thrives. The mediocrity does not allow you to go deeper into it. Most of the films, I'm talking about 99.9% of the films in your channel, openly on camera, 99.9% of the films are mediocre films. Rarely you get to say something which is profound, which is as deep as Kalidasa's work, as deep as Bhabubhuti's work, as deep as Mohan Rakesh or Vijay Tendulkar's work. The writing is poor. Literature is the quality of literature in writing is zero almost. Very rarely you get to see film which will uplift you, which will give you a meaningful way to look at life, nuances of life, the sadgi, the barikiyas of life. It doesn't give you. It gives you black and white binaries. And that's harmful and disservice to the society. That's why I stayed away from Bombay. And I do films. When my bank balance dwindles, I do one of those films. And I'm okay to do it because I subsidize my artistic activity through that, because government is not paying me. Neither there is much subsidies, which are coming in. I would like to be actually a theatre actor. There should be, like, each district should have a theatre company. Each block, if not each district, proper full-fledged theatre company. India is a storytelling nation. We must, sponsor or give money to the theatre actors or dancers or musicians. Artistic activities are probably the most important activities to find, which will help people to find meaning of life after spiritual activities.
Okay.
Because
it has a role to perform in society.
Not
which
a
is
role. I think if we practice art vigorously, in a meaningful way. Not that ek nacha do unko, acha thoda sa paisa art ko bhi de do. This attitude.
Not CSR.
Not CSR. And government does the CSR thing as well. A little bit of cultural fund. And, the bachche nachenge, the kids will dance and do a little play. Shauk hai unka. Asal kaam to ye hai ki MBA karo, frana karo, dimkana karo. That's the asal kaam. But this is, for me, is the main work after spiritual activities. When I say after, means most people are not interested in it.
Sure.
There are few people, those who are interested in it. But we can make other people interested in art. Because there's a lot of joy that you get out of it. When you are joyous, when you are happy within, you will not fight. So government will probably, this is my thing, government will probably save a lot of money from law and order situation. That if we are happy, if we are not hating somebody, because we are intrinsically joyous people, because we are being able to do what we love to do,
Interesting.
So I think art plays, I think right from the beginning of our independence, very few people, forget about governments, few people in all consecutive governments actually understood the role of art in the growth of human society, in India especially. Like, for example, in France, they have a huge amount of money which goes in the field of art. In Germany, during the lockdown, they spent 3.4 billion, if I remember it correctly, 3.4 billion euros had been given to artists. Zero from government of India. None. So that shows how you value your artists here. You see what I mean?
Yeah. The pressure valves that.
Yeah. So and we spend a lot of money, which we should. Why not? In defense, we don't spend much money in even education properly, or in So what I'm trying to say is that artistic activity should become ideally one of the most important activities from our childhood. Should be as compulsory as mathematics. Not to make them actors or dancers, just the activity itself, the practice of art itself helps you to grow and understand and see nuances in life, and which is so important. Otherwise, we'll become a nation full of people, those who only see binary, hero or villain. Like famously George Bush said, if you are
with us,
or against us, that's the most terrible thing to say. Being a head of state, it's terrible. Like, it shows how educated he is. He's not. Anyway, I can go on passionately.
We were talking about, the contribution of, or what hinders actors from the Northeast in really making it big.
I'm so sorry,
you did once mention, no, that's fine. You did mention that Danny Denzangappa was mostly given
villain roles,
negative roles.
Correct.
Well, how did the Bombay film industry react to you? You were resistant anyway. You were like, if you don't want to give me the roles, that's fine by me. I'll do something else. But was there a resistance before they came to you that you didn't fit
I did
the bill?
not. No, the thing is, see, my face, if you look at me, I have an advantage. I have a mixed racial face. I'm 1/4 Mongoloid. My mother's mother was half Mongoloid. My mother's father is from Iraq. He was a Sufi saint. He walked in 1800 something, came towards Assam. My father is from Assam. And from the Aryan aspect, not Mongoloid. Okay. So my face is pan-Indian face. If I go to Bihar, they think I'm Bihari. When I go to Kerala, they start speaking to me in Malayalam. I go to Tamil Nadu. So it's like I have an advantage of the face. And I did a half Khasi role even in a Khasi film. So from one angle, somewhere I have seen in one of the photographs, I look, I could be a Khasi guy. So for me, it wasn't a problem. And since I was not even wanting to act in Bombay film industry, so it wasn't a problem at all.
See, I never knew about your that you were from Assam.
Right.
But it's when I saw Z Security, when you got angry and you raised your voice. I don't know where you brought it out from.
It felt...
I was like, he sounds a little bit like when Mithun Chakravarti, in that film, where he's acted the role of Naxal. when he's angry. And I said, he's somewhere from Eastern India. And then I Googled to see where you were from. And that's how I got to know. It's only when you raised your voice.
I think I failed to retain my.
No, you got it out from somewhere.
Okay, yeah.
That is where you got it out from.
Yeah, I guess so.
You probably some temper tantrum of your dad or somebody or your brother.
Things come out unless you are very careful. Yeah.
That is where it.
That's very interesting
I figured
observation.
out that okay, so there's something. He's from Eastern India.
Correct.
You know.
Yes.
Until then, I didn't. I had seen so many of your films.
Right.
Nowhere was it obvious.
I'm an absolute pure Assamese, yes. In that, culturally at least, if not racially. Yeah.
You probably didn't disguise it intentionally, but somewhere it's got disguised and you could be from anywhere. Anywhere in India.
Yeah.
I'm going to come to, your films which you've acted, the Hollywood films, the non-Indian films that you've acted. Tell me about the difference in work culture when you act in those films and when you act in Indian films. Do you have to change your work style?
It depends. Like, for example, one of my first works, which is unfortunately hasn't released in India, it's an Italian film called Gangor. It's based on Mahashweta Devi's story. She wrote 3 stories called breast stories about the repression of the tribal people in Eastern India. Italian director, Italian production. And the director, when I started, because it was in English, so I started acting. It's very interesting. I started acting, saying my lines. So, you think I should be doing this or what? So he said, Adil, you are an Indian. You move your hand. It's not a cold country. Don't act like Hollywood actors. I'm like, wow.
Cold country?
Huh?
Cold country?
The genre of acting which is followed in European films or Hollywood films, it is influenced by the climate of those countries.
Okay.
You see, the hands are in pockets and its gestures are also minimal. How are you doing? Are you good? Okay, yeah. In India we don't. Hey, कैसे हो भाई? ठीक है, सब ठीक चल रहा है. हाथ पांव हिला के हम चलते हैं. Because we are in hot country.
And he's an Italian. Italians also move
Italians, that's why he caught it. He said, Italian acting is loud. We talk
Godfather.
like this. Yeah, Godfather or what?
It was all...
But Godfather happened in the States.
But it's Italian.
In Italian film, the Italian actors speak, De
Niro and all
that.
that.
You, no problem. Oh my God. So, in hot countries, why are you acting like a Hollywood actor? I was like, oh my God. Yeah, thank you for telling me that. And then acting style-wise, in different, then I went and acted in a Norwegian film, for example. So, called What Will People Say? It's a Norwegian film. And there in Norway, because of the cold, people speak and move very little. They try to stay warm in their, But also because my background in the story was Pakistani. So they have the habit of doing that also, like moving and all that. But it got influenced by the climatic situation. So I acted differently. In terms of acting style, these are the few aspects. But in terms of culture of filmmaking, there is a huge difference. Culture of filmmaking like which you had faced in Bengal, for example. Yourself, you told me that you went to interview someone, turned up. So in Bombay, that doesn't happen. They come on time. But the trouble of, and imagine, after working, my first films are like Life of Pi. In Life of Pi, I got the crutch that I have to use 3 months before I went to Taiwan to shoot the film. I got my script 3 months before. I got my driver's schedule 2 months before. Like 5:55, you'll be picked up and you'll be driven to the studio. You'll be resting for 1 hour and then you will be taken for the rehearsals. You'll come back, put on makeup on 8:55, blah, blah, blah. 9 o'clock, you come back to the set and you will have your first shot. Throughout the day, you were doing only one shot.
How wonderful, though, to have it panned out like
that. Totally. And then I come to act in Bombay. And it's a chaos in comparison to that. But in comparison to Bombay, Kolkata or Assam...
Cholbe na! Hoibe na!
So culturally, what I'm trying to say is
But still creativity in Calcutta too.
that is
है ना?
precisely. So my point is the
Yeah.
culture of filmmaking, when I'm saying executing your creative plan is in a mess.
Yeah.
But talent-wise, idea-wise, we are extremely rich.
Yeah.
So that is
Yeah, I would wait
undoubtedly.
for an interview for 2 hours.
Yes.
And I'd be frustrated as hell in Calcutta.
But when it comes,
But when the camera got on and the person started
Yes.
speaking,
You're like, huh,
I
here
was
you
like,
go.
I was crying because it was my frustration of time
Yes,
and
yes.
space
I know.
ended.
Exactly.
Of course, the camera wasn't on me, so that camera never caught me.
Correct.
But then, like I'm saying, you could have the perfect synchronization of time and space in, say, in Seoul or
Yes.
in Hong Kong
Hong
or
Kong,
whatever.
exactly.
But you will not face that in Calcutta. But
No.
still, magic could
Magically,
happen.
yes. So when I said that 99% of the films are mediocre in India, not because we lack talent, because we have the people, those who take the decisions on financing them, then they need to be educated because they don't understand creativity, how it works. You see, it comes from a different understanding and mindset as well. So it's not only a business. It is a business, but not only a business. It's almost 80% creativity, 20% business. But now it has become the opposite. It's 80% business and 20% creativity. I'm just putting a number.
But
to it.
even after OTT, such fabulous work coming out on OTT.
But it's drop in the ocean, no? Not everyone.
Yeah.
Every film. You have to really look for. You have to give them what my teacher puts it very beautifully. He said, concession. India के हिसाब से ये अच्छा film है. Why should it be like that?
Yeah.
Why can't we compete with, like Life of Pi, for example?
Yeah.
As I keep saying this example, I think it's one of the greatest example how a non-starer, Irfan, people didn't know about him much at all. Tabu, people, very few. I'm talking about outside of India.
Internationally, yes.
I was nobody. I'm still a nobody, but then I was absolutely nobody. And Suraj is a newcomer. It has got a tiger and a boat and some other animals in the middle of the sea. And that's it. And the budget was $110 million. It earned $850 million, almost $1 billion. Then,
Yeah.
and there is no star in the film. It's just pure sheer merit of the storytelling and the beauty and the depth and
Yeah.
the technicalities of the film, and everything came together. So we have amazing stories, and the film is based in India.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
It talks about India. We have amazing stories. Mahabharat. Make Mahabharat, which will sort of eat up all the cinema halls in the world. We have such amazing, each and every chapter and the subplots of Mahabharat can become a story.
And like Life of Pi, or even with the Reluctant
Yes.
Fundamentalist, that even if you come from a family or if you've come from a background of non-readers,
Right.
those who don't read, it's not necessary everybody reads.
No.
You want to go to the book.
Go to the book. Exactly.
That those are films like that.
Yes,
Like I saw both these films with people who had not read.
No.
Right?
Yes.
And they went back to the book, which was
Yeah.
fabulous, which was like, that's what you want.
Exactly.
You want that pursuit to happen.
Correct.
You've acted with great women directors too.
Right. Meera
Tell me
Nair.
about Meera Nair. Tell me about...
Meera Nair, Iram Haq, who directed What Will People Say, which became the Oscar submissions from Norway. Can you believe it? That film,
Yeah.
2018. I worked with Sona Jain. It's one of the films that has not been talked about a lot. It's a brilliant film called For Real. I think they are the complexities of life because they have worked hard to reach there, you see. There is this man-woman disparity in our society. So when a woman gets to direct a film, how much she had gone through already to understand life, to also compassionate at the same time. Also being generous not to take criticisms and the pushback from the male-dominated industry. And when they come to finally direct a film, they come with all these experiences, which help them to see this, as I said, see the nuances of life. And that's the practice of art. how art, for example, is a good example. Women would see it better. Like a jeweler sees a diamond in a piece of rock. Only a jeweler can see. So art is like that. Art is that it's a jewel which in everyday life, because of wear and tear of everyday life, we don't see the jewel in everyday life. The magic of the ordinary. And women see it more than men because of social circumstances, also their biological conditioning, that they have 4 organs which men don't have. You have ovaries, you have womb, you have uterus, and breasts. I don't have it. So biologically also, you had been way richer than me. I'm the male body is simplistically designed. You cannot do anything about it. Even if you break your head on the wall, I can't change the way I am being built by nature. So when you come to the floor with your complex understanding of life, and as women are quite often accused of emotionally illogical sometimes, but when you work on that aspect of it, male are very logical and they are very insensitive in so many ways, whatever the reasons are. But those men are most of the time are responsible for creating great art, those who also are in touch with their feminine side. Like Ang Lee, for example. He's such a soft, gentle man. The idea of Ardhanarishwara. So you are in touch with your feminine side. So women, those who come already, or those who come to direct, they've already...
That enriching experience.
That enriching experience of that journey that brings them there. And when they talk to the actors, they have this warmth and they have this beauty, sense of aesthetics.
But do they bring to the table, or is it accepted if they are decisive and if they want what they want?
Yes.
And do the actors absorb that, accept that yes, you're right?
It depends upon also the actors, no?
Okay.
So I think the directors, they cast in such a way that they would see if Adil is going to be my whatever role I'm playing, Satish Godbole. And if Gaurish sees, no, Adil is not the person, they see, you are more intuitive. Women are more intuitive than men, generally speaking. There are exceptions, of course. And by intuition, they would know, okay, Adil, yeah, he and I can work together. You see what I mean? And mostly those who practice art, they're more intuitive generally. They need to be more intuitive most of the time, quite often because of the demand of the work, demand of the path that they have chosen. So it is like that. For me, when I work with women, I feel way more comfortable than working with men. I feel very comfortable with women because I'm extremely sensitive to this male energy that I'm superior. I can't handle it. So I cringe and I don't have friends. I've got very few male friends, only 2 or 3. And those are very refined people, 5 of them that I have, those are extremely refined, and 3 of them we are under work in progress kind of a situation. So I feel extremely comfortable with women directors, and they feel comfortable with me as I have seen working. Yeah.
Are rules being rewritten as compared to when you entered the film industry? Like people like, Nawazuddin Siddiqui,
Right.
Irfan, Pankaj Tripathi,
Yes.
all these people, are they, and have you rewritten the rules as compared to a kind of a patriarchal setup or a different kind of a setup of, say, the 80s and the 90s?
I wouldn't know how to say this, or how to respond to your thing. I wouldn't say this way rules are being rewritten, but I think there is more awareness about how to tell a story, what to tell, the content that they are choosing, and the beauty of truthfulness in acting, and the genre that they practice, like for example, realistic genre, and in depicting a story, especially at the over the top OTT platforms, people are general people are have the ability to access content from across the globe, and they get influenced by the kind of acting that they see there. So the tastes are changing, and in the process, also some directors, some producers are willing to sort of bend. As I said, the people, those who put in the money, they should be more educated.
And the market forces, they will react to that. The films are flopping.
Always. So they think, no, audience ye chahte. We don't know what audience wants actually.
You still don't?
No, because we don't know. You see, what I'm trying to say, that we know that it is easy to sell when it is chatpata, when it tastes instantly good on your tongue, like KFC or McDonald's or something like that. But if you keep consuming them, you are going to be unwell. So it is, the food that we eat constantly. If we start consuming things which are good on the tongue, but not good in terms of
for your system, yes,
maintaining your well-being of your health or emotional well-being for that matter, films play the same role. If fast food is like fast food, as I said, most of the films are like fast food. And it's not good for your consciousness, not good for your emotional health, not good for, because you are not feeding yourself with things which would make you uplift you, make you an aware person.
Yeah.
To see life in a much more meaningful way. And if art doesn't do it, who will do it?
But does it hurt, Adil, when you've done a film which gave you so much satisfaction creatively, but the audience didn't take it, or the film didn't even find release in India sometimes, right?
Yes.
It didn't hit the theatres.
Yes.
It disappeared somewhere. Does it hurt?
It does in a way, but I somehow feel that had been always the case in human history, that a bit nuanced arts are always, they always needed royal sponsorship, high art. Even you could take music industry, like classical singing, right from Nikhil Banerjee to Ravi Shankar to Bhimsen Joshi Saab, and all these classical singers, Yamini Krishnamurthy or Sanjukta Panigrahi, and amazing Indian classical instrumental music performing arts, Kudiyattam or Kathakali. These are very high art. And we have very little takers on that because we failed as a society, including, when I talk about politicians, those are not, they didn't land from Mars. They are the product of our society. And the education that our society gave them, they do what they do. So our society failed these high arts to bring them into mainstream. Like I fell in love with Indian classical music in 1984. Before that I heard, my father sang Rabindra Songit. My brother bought records of Hariprasad Chaurasia Saab in 70s. We had record player. And I was like, oh my God, this is... And then I fell in love with it because I saw classical music, including vocal and instrumental, in Guwahati, 4 nights at a row, 4 nights every night, organized by Speak McKay, for that matter.
For many of my generation,
Is it not?
Speak McKay was the first introduction.
And day before yesterday, I met the chairperson of Speak McKay and said, would you like to come and speak to our students? I said, yeah, I would love to because you did this for me.
Yeah, I heard Pandit Ravi Prasad Chaurasia and Zakir Hussain Saab through Speak McKay. First time my exposure was through Speak McKay.
And I was mesmerized. Oh my God, Allah Rakha Khan Saab. He's old. He was brought in on the stage. Two persons had to hold him to bring him. But when he started playing tabla, he was a young man.
But his son got more fame and fortune than his father.
Yes.
And some even say that he surpassed his father even with talent.
Yes,
right?
could be.
Because he could explore further venues. So to come back to the question, do you feel that it's all right? I've got my satisfaction.
I think so.
Even if I don't get recognition.
I always dream, and I'm an optimistic person, that it is getting better. It is getting more exposure because of the communication system and delivery systems that we have. Like, imagine just open YouTube in the morning and I say Sarangi and Ustad Sultan Khan Saab Sarangi I play for our son right from his childhood. You know, he's getting ready, he's having breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning and I play Ustad Uday Bhavalkar, Drupad. So he hums with it. He wouldn't remember probably, but it is in the system. You know, I cannot force him to make him, but I play and he listens. He doesn't want me to change the music. He listens to it. And probably one day, like me, he'll be like, wow, the beauty of it, you know. Because if we lose the beauty of life and music and generally art, then earth, like E-A-R-T-H, if we remove A-R-T from the spelling of earth, it'll be like, we'll lose the meaning of life.
Interesting. Okay. You have to be constantly optimistic and absorbing. Power has to be supreme to be a creative person, right?
Ideally, yes.
Yes. But does fame and fortune curb that as it goes?
It has got immense possibility to do that as well. So one has to be doubly sure and doubly careful about it to keep your feet on the ground. And I have my teachers and my friend and my wife who make sure that I walk on the earth.
Because you were one of the... You walked in without a publicist, without a...
Oh God, please. Yeah,
hanger-on. You don't have a PR person.
No.
You don't have any of those
No,
trappings.
I
That's
don't.
why I asked you this question.
No, I don't and I cannot. I had been approached by all the big PR agencies from Bombay that when can we have you on board? I'm like, why should I have you? Tell me a reason. I said, no, you will get more publicity. I said, what if I don't need more publicity? Okay, if I get more publicity, what happens to me? Oh, you will earn more money. What if I'm happy with the money I'm earning? Sir, aap kya baat karte ho? So that I have this conversation almost every year, at least twice, with someone on the phone. And I have it for fun also. So my wife and my teachers are they're vigilant about me and they put me in my place.
And
Adil?
you need that? Like,
I need
I've
it,
seen
yeah.
such...
Everybody needs it.
But I've seen such big actors, people who have a huge body of work.
Yeah.
They walk with, and they walk with sunglasses on all the time, even inside. And I keep wondering, you're actors, you have to absorb. You have to look at people, you have to absorb. How are you doing that if you're constantly...
Surrounded by it. So I got influenced by Dr. Jerzy Kurtowski and I'm sure he took it from India. I'm 100% sure about it. This one of the sentences amongst many sentences in his book called Towards Poor Theatre. He says that actors must be invisible when they live in everyday life. They should be able to observe. They should completely disappear so that they can observe and the world should not observe them. Otherwise, how will you portray? How will you bring back? What will you bring back if you don't observe or you become, you embody the world the way it is? As soon as you put a device, what do you call that, watching device, people change their behavior.
Yes.
And that had been proven in everyday life. Also, that is true for human being and that is also true for molecules. You know that. There's a famous example of, extremely beautiful example. You should watch this film called What the Bleep Down the Rabbit Hole.
Okay.
So that's a very infamous experiment of whether the molecules behave like waves or behave like atoms, like individual atoms.
Okay.
So if you observe them, they behave like atom, like one solid thing. They behave like matter. But if you don't observe them, they behave like waves. Do you understand? So you cannot. That's an iron curtain on an example or on an experiment because nobody would ever know. Because as soon as you observe, they behave differently.
So when you are on your own, are you different? When you're with...
We all are.
We all are.
We all are. So we have different... Like when you are in a bathroom and you are doing your thing, But the idea is that it should have a sort of a resemblance between when you are alone and when you are in public.
Right.
The idea is to grow towards that fuller being, a wholesome being, which has got this cohesiveness of appreciating beauty as you are there, and you're not like, hey, I look beautiful, oh God, all that. And when you're in front of camera, I don't know how many cameras are there.
5.
Yeah, 5 of them. So that's the whole idea. But as we said, that we are work in progress. But if you have a certain vision about yourself, then only you can walk towards it. Okay. If you do not have one, the art brings that particular vision to people. When you are mesmerized by beauty, seeing it on the stage or painting or singing or songs or music, I don't know, what is that? That inspires you to become a fuller, wholesome being. So does spirituality, depending upon if you have access to it.
We've talked so much about the film world, about metaphysics. Towards the end, I would like to ask you about what do you see yourself when somebody asks you, you're from India, you're an Indian. What does it mean to you to be an Indian?
It's a very, very good question, because I was asking that question to one of the students. I was explaining a particular exercise called action problem. So I asked him, the guy, wonderful, good-looking guy from Haryana, who are you? And he said, sir, I'm an Indian citizen. I said, yeah, that's politically right. Who are you? Then he answered that question, sir, I am from Haryana. I said, that is linguistically you, but who are you? That's your language, but no, who are you? So now when you're posing the question in the opposite way, I feel that I am one of the luckiest guy on the planet Earth to be born in this particular part of the world, which is extremely rich with the finest of philosophies, ideas of how to live your life, and the bestowed with gifts of the highest ideas of the potential of a human being. When I read the Gita, and Sri Aurobindo's version of the Gita, I was dumbfounded. Every chapter I read, I remember one day I just read few chapters and I was sitting in the living room just staring, and my wife comes in, Kristen, what happened? I said, I don't know. Just dumbfounded with the beauty of it, the simplicity of it. So and as I said, I fell in love with India after so strangely, Sadhguru said the same thing. I was like, what is he's saying my lines. Like after I traveled
Same
on
experience
my motorbike for 2 years. And I met people on the streets, and this old man I met in the middle of Bhopal and Hyderabad, and he said few things, and I was like, my God, wisdom is accessible. You don't need a single penny in India to access wisdom. It's there, It's on the streets. You just go and you just seek, and it's there. So I feel that's my India, where I had been given this opportunity to fathom the meaning of life, and facilitated by all these great masters. So I come from a land of Shankardev and Azan Fakir and my Nanaji, Sayyid Nasruddin Shah Qadri Baghdadi. And then I come to Bengal, I have Sri Ramakrishna Paramahansadev. Then I come to Delhi and I meet my spiritual mentor, my teacher, my Dronacharya, who is an ashramite, Sri Aurobindo Ashram. And because my seeking and the finding meaning, what I do is acting, and the connection of the 5 Ws, because acting wants me to answer this question: who, where, when, what, and why. And then I thought I should extend these questions also in my life. Who am I? What am I doing here? Why am I here? Where am I? And that led me to these great masters, including Bhagavan Nityananda, Dattatreya and Lahiri Mahashaya, and all these great people. So can I complain about anything? at all that I should be somewhere else. I was offered a permanent job in the Netherlands in 1997 as an artistic director of a theatre company. And I said, no, I just can't see myself to be there. I want to be here in this part of the world. Yes, I am.
And you want to represent India in any art form abroad,
Absolutely.
outside the country
Any
too?
day. Yes, absolutely.
Right.
Yep.
Oh, thank you so much for speaking with us. It's been very enlightening. I don't think I've asked even half the questions which I thought I would ask, because our conversation meandered into so many different...
I talked too much, I guess.
No, it was amazing. It was a very, very interesting
Thank you.
conversation. I'm sure our listeners and viewers feel the same. Thank you so much for
pleasure.
making the time. Thank you so much.
Most welcome.
Thank you for watching or listening to this edition of ANI Podcast with Smita Prakash. Do like or subscribe on whichever channel you have seen this or heard this. Namaste. Jai Hind. Click here to watch the previous episodes.